I built a $1,500 Micro ATX Gaming PC, but this PC is not for the desk. So I added feet, turned it on its side, and connected it to my TV. I mean, two TVs, because a PC is a game changer in the living room. I will go over the complete build and run some tests in gaming. But first, let's go over the parts in the order I assembled. Let's start with the case, because the Micro ATX form factor was the motivation for this build. Micro ATX is a forgotten form factor when it comes to PC builds, especially HTPCs. There are very limited options when it comes to a horizontal oriented case. So I searched far and wide for a case that will be perfect for this build. I was surprised to find this case on Amazon for 40 bucks. However, this is not an HTPC case and is not truly meant to be oriented on its side, but it can be done. It may not be the most aesthetically pleasing to see stamp feet on the right side of the case, but for 40 bucks, I will compromise. This case fits Micro ATX motherboards and Mini RTX, but I went with the ASUS Tough Gaming B850M plus Wi-Fi, and I populated it with 2 sticks of DDR5 memory, which equals 64 gigabytes, Samsung 990 EVO 1TB SSD. And for CPU, I went with the AMD Ryzen 7 9700X. This CPU has 8 cores, 16 threads, and a very efficient 65 watt TDP. Surprisingly, this case has a headroom for the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 mini CPU air cooler, which should have no problem cooling this CPU. At this point in the build, I connected all of the cables to the motherboard. Yes, I know this sounds crazy, but this was my second time putting this build together, and I have to let you know that it's a pain in the butt to connect the cables inside of the case. So I wanted to do everything outside of the case. Also, if you would like a full step-by-step guide with my commentary, please subscribe to my Patreon, and I'll leave a link in the description. The next part was a bit of a struggle, but I managed to cram everything inside of the case. The case also fits an ATX power supply, but after reading a few reviews, I noticed people saying that it takes up a lot of space. So I thought it'd be a better idea to use an SFX power supply to give me a little extra room for cable management and to improve airflow. Next, I installed the case fans. I used Thermalright Slim 120 millimeter fans for the front 2 fans, and for the exhaust in the back, I used RTX P8 Slim 80 millimeter case fan. Last but definitely not least, this case fits up to a 225 millimeter long GPU. So I added the Gigabyte WindForce GeForce RTX 5060 Ti with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. This GPU is only 208 millimeters long, but it still was a tough squeeze in this case. Next, I did a bit of organizing cables, and the build was complete. All right, when you first turn on the computer, you should come to this screen. This will let you know that everything was installed properly. And you want to just make sure that you hit Y. After that, you will come to this screen and you want to go ahead and hit F1 to enter the BIOS. All right, now that we're in the BIOS, I want to go ahead and update this. So I'll come back. However, here you want to enable Expo mode to make sure that our memory is running at its highest speed. I didn't want to show the setup of Windows. There are plenty of videos out there, and I'll link one in the description to show you how to set up Windows. But just running some tests in Furmark with the CPU and the GPU stressed out, I'm getting about 80 degrees Celsius on the CPU, and with the GPU, I'm getting about 75 to 74 degrees Celsius. This isn't bad for a PC of this size. I wouldn't say it's small form factor, but it's definitely compact. And I feel like these temperatures are pretty good. I would like the CPU to be a little bit chillier, but 80 is not bad at all, and we don't have to worry about thermal throttling. And for the GPU, 75 is pretty good. So I'm good with these temperatures. Here are the Cinebench scores for reference. These are the scores for 3D Mark benchmarks. And we have Steel Nomad, Time Spy, Fire Strike, and Night Raid. Now let's get into some gaming benchmarks, and this is the benchmark test for Forza Horizon 5. This game looks amazing, by the way. Actually, all of the games look great on my TV. As you can see, we got 85 for the FPS, and this is more than playable, and the settings are 4K with everything maxed out. So I'm very impressed by what the 5060 Ti is doing with this game. Here's a bit of gameplay for Ghost of Tsushima. This is a PlayStation 5 port, and it looks excellent on my TV. I have everything turned up to max settings in 4K, and as you can see, I'm getting about an FPS between 75 and 90, and this game really looks incredible. It's open world, and this is one of my favorite games to actually play on my TV. This is Mortal Kombat 1. I'm running the benchmark here with everything maxed out in 4K. And this is another game that absolutely looks incredible. This game is capped at 60 frames per second. And as you can see, we pretty much get right there at 60 frames per second. This is the benchmark for Black Myth Wukong. And you can see the results here. It was at 4K. I did have frame generation on, and I got an average FPS of 64, which is excellent for this game. And I'm very shocked by the performance of the 5060 Ti. This is the benchmark for Cyberpunk 2077. Looking at the results here, we have average FPS of 48, but I did not turn on frame generation. So from here, with frame generation on, it's going to do a lot better.
Broadcast here on 2K Sports.
This is NBA 2K25. Definitely one of my favorite games to play on the couch. And this looks absolutely incredible. I have everything on max settings and 4K on this game, and I'm getting an FPS that's around 100 frames per second. There's a lot of stop and go in sports games, so it's kind of hard to, you know, get a benchmark for it, but this really looks good, and you can play this no problem, maxed out settings on the 5060 Ti. And overall, I'm just surprised of the performance on this little PC.
James in the post, dipping on him, and it's LeBron missing.
I'll tell you, most of the time this guy's going to finish that, but that was tremendous defense that prohibits him from completing the play. Boy, the bounce pass put right on the money. Nice assist.
Here in the first, a little over a minute played so far. Chalmers pass to James, and finished off by LeBron.
And making it
so
look
overall,
easy.
this has been a great build. It's a lot more compact than my last build, the $3,000 build that went into the Silverstone Grandia. So it has the opportunity to fit on more shelves and entertainment stands or cabinets. So it's a bit noisy. I wish the airflow was a bit better in this case, but if you're gaming, you have music playing, it's not so bad. Also, console killer, I can't really put it in that category. However, the one thing about an HTPC or PC compared to a console is that it's hard to determine the value, because with a gaming console, the only thing that it's really meant to do is game. And maybe you can watch some videos, you know, you can do some streaming, but for the most part it's for gaming. But with a PC connected to your TV, you have the opportunity to be creative and, you know, get work done from your sofa. And it's hard to put a value on that, because a few graphic design jobs, you know, building websites, video editing, that can translate into you making income, which a gaming console cannot do it all. And that's why I kind of recommend a HTPC over a gaming console, because of that. It's not all about gaming. So if you're interested in this build, I will be putting the full build guide on Patreon, and I'll leave a link in the description. That's all that I have for this video. Please like and subscribe, and there will be more HTPC content coming soon. Thanks.